Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this presentation here in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. To you guys in Düsseldorf, Istanbul, Milan and Madrid respectively, all welcome. I'm very delighted to be here in the first place in the Netherlands to present to you the El Salvador project and give you a little bit more detail about who we are, what we do, why we go over to El Salvador and why the project was established in the first place back in 2002. Mike obviously just gave a very brief introduction as the chairman. What I will do is I will elaborate on a couple of short points that he mentioned and give some more detail about the project as a whole, so as to familiarise all of you who are present over here. So to start off with, the project history. Over here you can see a clear structure of what I will be going through throughout the presentation. I'll do it in a chronological order. So I'll start with the project history and just tell you guys why we were established in the first place, when this took place, the reasons why we were established, which had to do with natural disasters and relief work and trying to help out poor communities that suffered because of the consequences of these disasters. I'll then guide you through a little bit of construction work and a little bit of details of what we do in El Salvador, the things that we build. And it's not just that, actually. We don't just go over there as civil engineers and just help the communities out with what we do best. It's actually a whole lot of other range of things that we are involved in and with which we try to benefit the communities. These belong to the social returns. So what we have is, on an annual basis, we have student membership of 10 to 15 students that we send over to El Salvador, and we, as a big group of students, obviously recognise that we have a big potential to make an economic investment in the particular community in which we work. So these belong to the social returns. I'll go through that and then I'll handle things to do with the project's future. So all the way from this year's coming summer project, which is going to be held over a 6-week period, and I'll guide you through and share with you some of our plans and ideas of the future and what we try to become in the coming years. And finally, I'll just tell you briefly ways in which you can help, you as individuals who might not be involved in the El Salvador project itself, but still interested and ready to help us out in many different ways. I'll guide you through that as well. So to start off, we are essentially a reconstruction and development organisation. We were established in order to provide safe and sustainable shelter to communities in El Salvador who do not have the resources, neither the human resources nor the financial resources, to do it themselves. We, as civil engineering students from Imperial College London, one of the top academic institutions in the world, recognised that we obviously had a responsibility and that we had a very big way of sharing our knowledge and expertise with these communities to try to rebuild their lives. On the left you can see a map of El Salvador. I hope it's clearly visible to everyone in the room and also in the various Europe offices. The red dots indicate the communities in which we worked in the past. The one on the top is Colima. That's the one in which we worked last summer in 2009. It's also the one in which I was personally involved. The yellow one is the coming summer's community in which we try to help people out who had to suffer through a very recent, big and unfortunate disaster that only occurred in November. I'll give you some more details about that. So we were established in 2001 as a result of some major earthquakes that took place in El Salvador, and combined that left over 1,000 people dead, and obviously associated with that tens and tens of thousands of people that were left homeless, that were left without any family members and just basically without any kind of properties. And as I mentioned before, it's us as students, civil engineers from Imperial College, who go over there and help out the communities. We work together with an NGO. This is quite a significant NGO in El Salvador. This is the logo of the NGO. It's REDES, which stands for the Salvadorian Reconstruction and Development Organization. They, obviously, because they are established within the country themselves, they know the country themselves much better than we do. They know the people, they know the areas, and they are prepared, and actually have been so, ever since 2002, to share with us their knowledge and their expertise of the country and its communities, for us to do a better job. So, the natural disasters, this is the main reason why we were established back in 2002. I'll just guide you through a bit of detail on these disasters. In 2001, in the beginning, on January the 13th, a major earthquake hit El Salvador. Its epicenter was in El Salvador, but extraordinarily, and this is what is very significant, I think, is the fact that it was felt on 3 separate continents. It was actually felt all the way from North America, Mexico City, all the way to Colombia in South America. Although the epicenter was in El Salvador itself, people were actually killed across international boundaries, 8 in Guatemala. So you can just see some details of that major event. Nearly 1,000 deaths, tens and tens of thousands of people injured. On this picture over here you can see a major landslide that occurred because of the event. Just let me guide you through a little bit of that particular landslide. This is a picture of the same event, obviously from a different angle. On the foreground you can see some major tree trunks, and the guy standing next to them hopefully can give you a bit of kind of indication of the scale that is involved. Obviously very heavy, and it just, I think, hopefully gives you an impression of the kind of power and the potential that landslides like these can have, and you know, just to be able to carry along tree trunks like that, they are obviously a very potential hazard to structures and houses that can stand in the way. The second of the earthquakes, as if it was some kind of organised event, this one happened exactly a month after the first one. It was a bit smaller in scale, but still very devastating, of course, over 300 deaths. And again, you know, it spanned across international boundaries. Although its epicenter was in El Salvador, very close to the capital, San Salvador, people were killed in Guatemala and Honduras, which are the neighbouring countries. This picture over here, which I'll show you a bit more clearly later, this particular picture is a consequence of that event. Now, I chose this one to show you because it is the kind of house that we go over to El Salvador to replace. It's an adobe brick house, and it's quite weak. Obviously, on this picture, you can see the two sides of the house have collapsed. On the next picture, you can not recognize it, perhaps, but it's actually, it used to be 2 rows of adobe brick houses, and whereas the previous one we just had damage, these ones obviously had some lethal collapse to endure, and anyone within them would obviously have had a fatal death or a heavy injury as a consequence. Just to show you the kind of real hazards that many communities in El Salvador are currently still exposed to, just because they do not have the finance in order to get themselves some more secure and sustainable shelter. A recent disaster, this one occurred not so long ago, a couple of months back. It was very devastating. Some of you might perhaps be aware of it. It was on the news 1 or 2 days, but unlike Haiti, which is now obviously broadcast along major news media every single day, this one did not have that much attention, and therefore as a consequence not much international aid going into the country to help people that have suffered from this event. I was actually contacted by the head of planning of Redis the day after this event occurred. It involved a lot of landslides, a lot of floods, and literally there were communities in the country that were reduced to half their size or even more just because of this particular event. And as a consequence, we as the El Salvador project, in association with Redis, have chosen to concentrate our resources and our efforts this year on these communities that have been struck most badly by this particular event.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sure.
Has any of your former work been hit by the following events?
No, fortunately not. No. The construction work.